You are probably familiar with Megalopolis. It's the last creation of the legendary director Francis Ford Coppola, responsible for giving us, among others, Godfather and Apocalypse Now, movies that speak for themselves. Megalopolis is a passion project he had been wanting to make since the 1980s, but it wasn't until he realized recently he was 18 years old and this was his only chance, and he decided to go through with it at any cost. He self-financed the whole thing, $120 million out of his own pocket. The film premiered in the Cannes Festival, and the reviews have been, well, mixed. Many have described it as an incoherent mess. And I haven't watched the movie yet, and Coppola is one of my favorite directors. And this is just what some of the early critics have said. Regardless of whether the movie ends up being what Coppola wanted it to be, this whole thing seems like quite a strange phenomenon. Coppola had this idea on his head for practically almost all his life, a grandiose opera of a New York City with gladiators and giant moving classic statues. It looks like he tried to make the perfect movie by his own standards, something that doesn't falter in any area of analysis. Action? Got it. Shakespearean drama? Got it. Science fiction plot with transcendental conflict? Got it. We'll see how it turns out, and as I said, we can judge it yet, but for now, it seems like he had an extremely ambitious project in his head. But when he tried to bring it down to reality, the whole thing ended up being only a skeleton of his original idea, as one could usually expect in these situations. When an artist feels like he's finally capable of attaining perfection, he actually tries, and obsesses himself out of his mind over it. And perfection can't be perfection if it's not overarching. So he tries to make it everything at the same time, wasting his last years of talent on the elusive chase of artistic wholeness. This topic was firstly treated in depth by Honoré de Balzac, a French novelist of the 19th century, in his short story, The Unknown Masterpiece. It's a really short read, you can finish it in half an hour, but honestly, it could not be more insightful. Today we are going to uncover it. So, let's start. The story is set in early 17th century Paris, and it focuses on three painters. Two of them are real, the third is fictional. The first one is Nicolas Poussin. In the novel, he's a young man with dreams of becoming a painting master. He is in love with Gillette, a girl of immeasurable beauty. I'm not saying this just for the sake of saying it. Gillette's inconceivable youthful beauty will play an important part later on. The second real character is Porpus, a Flemish painter specialized in portraits. The third character, and as I said, this one was made by Balzac, is Fraunhofer, an old painting master obsessed with obtaining perfection. The story starts with Poussin and Fraunhofer meeting Porpus at his studio. The latter shows them his last creation, a wonderful painting of Mary of Egypt. Poussin has nothing but praises. The portrait is perfect in technical terms. Fraunhofer, on the other hand, although praising it as well, claims that it is unfinished. In his words, it lacks life. You believe you've done everything just for having drawn correctly a figure, having put everything in its place following the laws of anatomy. Just because you occasionally look at a naked woman standing on a table, you believe you've copied nature, that you are a painter who has robbed God of his secret. No, to be a great poet, it is not enough to know the syntax and avoid language mistakes. You have only been able to infuse a small part of your soul into your beloved work. Poussin starts feeling anger towards the old man. How can he criticize such a perfect creation so harshly? It's just then, when he understands why. Fraunhofer starts painting over the already finished work of Porpus. He adds some touches of his paintbrush here and there, and in just a couple minutes, the portrait of Mary of Egypt is taken to a whole new dimension, before their very eyes. The painting suddenly feels alive. All of a sudden, you can feel the air. It was unbelievable. Poussin and Porus realized that Fraunhofer's skill was really on a league of its own. Fraunhofer wasn't disapproving of Porus, the renowned Paris painter. To discourage him, he was actually trying to help him. That's exactly why they feel so intrigued once the old painter tells them he's been working for the past 10 years in what will be his last work, and no one but himself has seen it. His masterpiece, one which he claims will remain unrivaled for eternity. Fraunhofer admits that he has been unable to find a suitable model for it, which depicts a beautiful courtesan called Catherine Lescaut. Okay, let's do a quick recapitulation of what has happened. Fraunhofer has told them that he has been working on a painting that will be conclusive, something that will be undoubtedly complete, no matter how you look at it. What he doesn't know is that in trying to do that, he's arriving at an unavoidable contradiction. He's betraying the same advice he had given Porus about his Mary of Egypt. You have floated indecisively between the precise rigidity of the old German masters and the joyful abundance of the Italian painters. You should have honestly opted for one or the other in order to achieve the unity that simulates one of the requirements of life. A bit later, Porus explains this lesson to Poussin in a beautiful way, from which I think every one of us who overthinks can learn something from. Practice and observation are everything to a painter. If reasoning and poetry compete with the brushes, one ends up doubting, like that good man, who is as mad as he is a painter, a sublime painter, but he had the misfortune of being born rich, which has allowed him to wander. Do not imitate him. Work. Painters should meditate only with brushes in hand. After a few months, Fraunhofer is in a bad place. He thought he had finished his Catherine Lescaut, but he fears that he hasn't. He also fears that the perfect woman he supposedly needs for his masterpiece will die before he can meet her. He is planning to travel to Turkey, Greece, and Asia. But it's just then when Porus arrives at his studio to offer the old painter a solution for his problem. Remember Gillette, Poussin's lover? Well, he has managed to convince her to model for Fraunhofer. And once Fraunhofer sees her, his appearance, the look on his face, changes completely. He snaps out of his depressive rumination, and it feels like he has gotten a decade younger in the span of seconds. Gillette's beauty convinces him not of taking her as a model, but of the fact that his masterpiece is actually finished. He immediately tells the two painters, Porus and Poussin, to come see his achievement, supposedly perfection turned into painting. Poussin and Porus come to admire the courtesan portrait, and they see it, and they are in complete awe. But Fraunhofer tells them that that's just a quick sketch he did to study a certain posture. It was unbelievable. If that's a sketch, what will be the real thing? They keep mistaking Catherine Lescaut for other sketches until Fraunhofer finally shows them the actual painting. But, weirdly, all they can see is part of a foot that has been lost in a swirl of colors. Fraunhofer can't understand why they can't comprehend the magnitude of what he has achieved, and he aggressively makes them leave, claiming they are ignorants. But their disappointment drives him to madness. He burns all of his paintings and dies that same night. A tragic ending, but sadly, a very real one as well. This phenomenon is pretty common in all sorts of artists. They try to create an all-encompassing masterpiece, something that simultaneously possesses every possible quality a work of that sort can have. It makes a lot of sense when you think about it. How else are you gonna achieve perfection? How is something gonna be perfect if there are qualities in which it is lacking? But that's just how things are in the abstract realm. In the real world, things have its function. Take a movie for example. The more genres you try to mix, the less effective each of them will be. James Cameron deluded himself into thinking that the Avatar saga was going to be the most amazing experience ever in cinema and storytelling. Stanley Kubrick firmly believed that Eyes Wide Shut was his greatest contribution to the art of cinema. It's a sad thing, really. You can't incorporate all of the fundamental emotions, conflicts, and changes of human nature in just a movie or a painting. And when you try to do so, it just ends up feeling naive and dumb. The artist ends up losing touch with what has got him where he is.